Alright everyone, welcome back. So, our prospect pool overviews continue on yet again today with the Seattle Kraken. We now have 3 teams left after Seattle's done and over with. So, the Kraken, obviously they're a relatively newer team, and they've only been in the league for, 3 seasons at this point. So obviously, they haven't done a lot, draft-wise, and a lot of the guys they've already drafted have pretty much already made their graduation to the NHL. Excuse me, however, they still have guys in the pool that are for sure worth talking about 100%. Starting off with Shane Wright, and Shane Wright's had a very interesting developmental path since being drafted. A center from Burlington, Canada, 6 foot, 198 pounds, won the U20 World Junior Gold in 22-23. Obviously, that past year in 21-22, playing in the OHL, there was a lot of controversy surrounding him being like, oh, he didn't have as good of a year as he had in previous years, and maybe that was partially because of COVID, maybe that was partially because of other reasons. But regardless, it made him drop to 4th overall in 2022. And I think overall, mentally, I think that really affected him. I really do think that because, after that, in those games in the NHL, he really just couldn't seem to pick it up. He just could not seem to get something going there in his 8 games played with the Kraken and the Firebirds. But definitely a season in the OHL for sure helped. 20 games played, 15 goals, 22 assists, 37 points. Just let him develop. Let him grow. He should play in the NHL this coming season. That is the expectation. But if he doesn't, then it's not entirely a disappointment. Because you want to see him develop to be the right player that we thought he was going to be all those years ago. Just maybe the development has been a little bit, kind of stalled due to COVID and everything playing a role there. So I think that definitely plays a factor in Wright. And letting him develop, I think, is the smartest thing there for any NHL team to do. Next up, then, you have Edward Sale. Sale is a right wing from Brno, Czechia. 6'2", 174 pounds. I like Sale a lot. I was looking at Sale a lot throughout the draft rankings. I was saying that he could go as high as 13th or 14th. Obviously, he dropped to 20th with Seattle in 2023, so obviously that plays a factor. But still, regardless, a solid player playing with an adult league out there in Czechia. 43 games played, he had 7 goals, 7 assists for 14 points. He's listed as being a pure playmaker who can scan and find the right pass, a guy you want to have on your roster for sure. A great guy that's going to fill in well in that right wing slot. Obviously, he will take some time, unlike the other players. Won't be playing out of the gate this year. I highly doubt it. Will likely spend a year in Czechia before he makes his return here. But regardless, I like Edward Sale a lot, and he has a really good shot at going far in the Seattle's rankings. Jagger Firkus is my next guy, and I like these names, by the way, in Seattle. They all seem really interesting. Right wing from Irma, Canada, 5'10", 154 pounds, so a little bit shorter than other guys. That is something he's going to have to work on. He was drafted 35th overall in 2022. He definitely is shown as a guy that is really fast, has a lot of speed to his game. And in this past year with the Moose Jaw Warriors, he played 66 games, had 40 goals, 48 assists for 88 points. Great numbers there for a forward, obviously. And he has a great shot, too, I've heard. Scored 40 goals in the WHL. Definitely something you shouldn't take lightly, but a guy who definitely has shown that he can play well despite being a little bit undersized than others. But regardless, he should be an exciting player when he comes over eventually for the Seattle Kraken. But Firkus, maybe still a little bit ways away. Should make the AHL jump this year, hopefully. Maybe not NHL, but obviously we'll find out if that happens for Firkus. Next up, then, we move on to the defensive prospects. You got Riker Evans, defensive from Calgary, Canada. He's 6 foot, 192 pounds, drafted 35th overall in 2021. So he's been in the system for a little bit there since Seattle's first ever draft year. And he's made strides at being a really solid defenseman and should honestly get a shot this year at the NHL level for sure. 71 games played this past year with the Firebirds, had 6 goals, 38 assists for 44 points. So Firebirds means the Coachella Valley, not the Springfield Fire or the OHL team, the Firebirds. So he played in the AHL last year, helped them out on their run to the Calder Cup Finals, and I thought he played very well. I watched some of those games during that Finals run. He was very noticeable out there on the ice, and I honestly do think he really is on the cusp of being an NHL level defenseman, and should hopefully start making his dips into the NHL this coming season for sure, playing a few games there. Maybe not a full season, but definitely playing some few games to at least start off the season. Next up, then you got Lucas Dragovic, Dragicevic, if I'm saying that right. The Dragon is what I like to call him. Defenseman from Richmond, Canada, 6'1", 194 pounds. He's a pretty good offensively driven defender, but his defensive game is going to need some work, absolutely. Drafted 57th overall in 2023. And in 68 games played this past year with the Americans, he had 15 goals, 60 assists for 75 points. His defensive game, as I said, he's going to need some work on that. Offensively, he's way better on that end. But if he wants to be a consistent NHLer, he needs to at least improve a little bit defensively. But obviously, he's the most recently drafted player, so he's not expected to be an NHL level guy just yet. He can take a few more years to fully develop and get his game right. But yeah, Dragicevic, I like his name a lot, and he's going to be fun in the NHL when people are calling him the Dragon. That's going to be a lot of fun, especially when he finally gets there. And then finally, for your goaltending prospect for Seattle, you got Nicholas Kakko. Kakko is a goalie from Oulu, Finland, 6'4", 190 pounds. Drafted 58th overall in 2022, and these numbers aren't really the best. You want to let this guy develop. You want to give him some time. But in 14 games played this past year with Hermes, which is a Finnish league, I believe, he had a 4-6-4 record, a 2.95 goals against average, and a .901 save percentage. So not terrible numbers there, but obviously he's going to need some time before he even comes close to the NHL level. Obviously, that's something you look at there for sure. But yeah, overall, Seattle's prospect pool, it isn't too bad. Other guys that are in the list there that make the pool, you got forward Yanni Nyman, Carson Rekoff, Ryan Winterton, David Goyette, and Oscar Fisker-Molgaard. So obviously there are some interesting forwards there, mostly in Seattle's prospect pool. But obviously it's a smaller one than usual teams. But definitely it is a prospect pool we look at that's probably going to get better over the next couple of years. But regardless, let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like. That subscribe button down below. I greatly appreciate it. We have 3 more teams left. Next one will be the Ottawa Senators, so stay tuned for that one. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.